dynamics. It's combination of two terms. One is thermo and or plus dynamics. Then what is the thermo means? There must be a form of temperature. Form of temperature whenever it flows. What happened and why it is happened? It happened when the heat is flowed. Suppose from our body, when this comes out, temperature of our body goes down. If we gain temperature from outside our body, it increases. Then what happened? Heat comes out from surroundings to a system. Which system? Our body. And whenever I start to teach about this thermodynamics, or we try to learn about thermodynamics, we have to know that our body is one of the best example of thermodynamic system. And environment is at the surroundings. And first, as we say, this thermo means flow or change in temperature or flow of heat, by which temperature or the measurement of the heat is done by temperature. And another thing is dynamics. That means it's in flow, in flowing condition, not in static condition. And after that, as I said, it's system and surroundings. Suppose this is a system, and this line is known as system boundary. Suppose you have a house, and this is the house, and this is the neighbor house, and this is the wall. Wall is the system boundary which separates your house from the neighbor house. This is the example. And for my body, or internal parts, the system, skin, and as well as the just under the skin, whatever happened, the flesh is the system boundary, and our environment is surroundings. This is an example. Now, if there is system, there have some ingredients or there have some content some things, but as a body contains lung, heart, liver, kidney, this is the parts. Similarly, this system has some properties like our, what I said, that it has some properties, and these properties, the system contains properties. What properties? As I have some internal organs, they have some things, but in general, whenever go to a doctor, they first measure two things. First, our pulse, second, our pressure. Similarly, in system, the properties are nothing but pressure, volume, temperature, and energy. Suppose if I have sick, that means I have fever. What happened? Our body temperature goes up. For that reason, whatever happened, our pulse rate increases. It belongs to a normal pulse rate. Similarly, whenever the system has some other source or force applied on the system, or system has some work done on the surroundings, the properties have changes. Whatever system is at its first state is known as the state 1. State 1, where the properties are like that, is P1, that is pressure at 1, volume at 1, temperature at 1. Similarly, whenever, as I said, some force is applied on this system, it has some changes, and then the properties may be changed to maybe V2, P2. This is as nothing but the system and surroundings. And these properties have also two things. One is extensive property, one is intensive property. Just list these things first. First, I said intensive property. Intensive and extensive. Two kind of property. What is intensive? What is extensive? If these properties are depend on the mass of the system, then these properties are known as extensive property. Whereas if the system are, if the properties are not, sorry, pardon me, is the properties of the system are independent of the mass of the system, this thing known as intensive properties. Here, as I write, pressure, volume, temperature, energy, what are the mass dependent and which are the independent of mass? Energy and volume is dependent on mass, whereas pressure and temperature is independent of mass. Then you may ask how? Volume. Our mass, I have stand here. What is our volume I capture in this area? This is dependent on my mass of the body. For that reason, it is dependent on mass. Secondly, what is their energy? Energy also. Suppose you sat on a place because you are not feeling well. That is low energy you do. But you are too much hyper because you have more and more energy in between you. For that reason, you run here and there, you do some work, then do another thing. This is this thing. For it is as I am fit and I have some mass, I do this kind of things. For that reason, extensive property which is dependent on mass, volume and energy are there. And pressure and temperature, is it dependent on mass? No. We may apply a pressure on a vacuum place also, or temperature of something maybe decrease or increase. It is not dependent on mass. If we add some mass there, it not means that it may increase or decrease some pressure, or it may temperature increase or decrease. For that reason, it is known as the intensive property of the or independent of mass. The next part will come soon.